Good morning, Cindy here, and it is time for a June garden tour. Things are popping up all over the place, and I thought it was high time that I took you along and showed you what is blooming and growing beautifully in my garden. We have a lot of challenges here in Central Texas. Our heat is rising. We are in the high 90s, soon to be in the hundreds. We probably won't see any rain for quite a while. So I want to give you some great tips and tricks on how you can survive the heat with a garden and still have beautiful flowers and perennials popping up everywhere. So let's take a look and see what's growing. So if I pan the front of the house, you can see there are lots of things in bloom. I believe in Texas natives or adapted things that are perennials. I put them in and they come back year after year. I don't want to keep spending money on things that I have to keep replacing. So right here on the left is coneflower or echinacea, and it is just doing wonderfully. Coneflower takes a while to get established. It's this purple flower here. And this is year 4 for the same plants. In the fall, I take these seed heads here and I just kind of rough them up and spread them back in the garden. And every year I just get more and more as they do spread. And then on the left, I have a salvia Henry Dulberg. This one comes back every year. Now, all of these here in the front, they do die back in the winter. They go dormant, and I do chop them down. But I have, in the far back, I have abelia, which is my evergreen. And so I do have something nice to look at in the wintertime. So next to this, we have Shasta daisies. This is the Becky variety, and this bottom section did not die out this winter. Normally it does when we have an especially hard winter, but this year, this green part stayed green all winter. But look how gorgeous these happy little daisies are. I just love them. And it is really important for me to get in here and cut these dead ones, dead head, every time they quit blooming. And that just tells these little buds to keep on coming up. So they are just the happiest thing. I bring in quite a few into the house, make floral arrangements with the coneflower. And I have some beautiful sunflowers in the back I'll show you that also go into my summer arrangements. And I was going to show you the ground cover. In the spring, this was all purple, but in the summer, it just stays nice and green. So that's nice. Backing up a little bit further, there are more Shasta daisies on the right. And this is another abelia. This is, I believe it's Sunshine or Twist of Lime, can't remember. And then this is Rose Creek abelia back here. Got some pretty Boston ferns up here on the porch. And way up high, I have Supertunia bubblegum variety. They make it in the heat. So I have lantana here that is starting to bloom. And I have another one. This is lemonade lantana. And it's got a really pretty yellow and pink flower. But it's just now starting to bloom. So this is a new Mexican sage bush that I have planted, and it's just really doing great. It's already about 2.5 feet tall, and it has these really attractive calyxes here that attract the hummingbirds and the bees and the butterflies. And they say it's evergreen. We will find out if it's evergreen if we have a particularly rough winter. And it is a Texas native. It is the Mexican sagebush, but it is also considered a Texas native. Very tough and drought tolerant. it'll get about 3 feet high by 4 feet wide. And then we have some sun drops here, and we have some May night salvia. Isn't that pretty? They have that really purple little flower on them too. And this one stays low, which I really like. And the sun drops, they are just about to open. It's a little bit early in the morning, but they have, there's one that's open. They have these really pretty little flowers all over them. This is a really xeriscape type of a plant. It does not want to get its roots too wet, so you have to be careful that it's in well-drained soil. But they are definitely a hardy plant that can take our intense heat. Everything I have out here in the front is made for the sun, as this is a very sunny location. And I have another one of my favorites. This is new also. This is Mystic Spire Salvia. And I may have walked past my older salvia. Let's go back and look at that. Yes, I did. I walked past this too quickly. This is about 5 years old. This is Mystic Spire Salvia, and she is about 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide and covered with bees, and is just the most eye-popping beauty in my garden. Just love her. I did have to stake her up this year. I thought that I cut it down early enough so that I could keep the bottom of it strong enough to hold these heavy flowers, but I didn't, and so I do have about 3 of the bamboo canes in there tied like a teepee, and I have some of these heavier branches tied up inside there, and that solves the problem. But there she is. Isn't she pretty? Mystic Spires Salvia. So now we're out here at the street section. We have this whole part is rocked in, which really saves some water usage. I have some yucca, the red yucca. Look how pretty these beautiful calyxes are. And this guy requires no water, so the plants that I have in this section have to survive with very little water. And so that's why I have some lantana out here. This is trailing purple lantana, and very shortly this will be covered with purple flowers. It's a little slow to bloom this year. And then this is bougainvillea, and this is something I do have to water quite a bit. I keep it mulched heavily, so I don't have to water it every day. But if you can look down in here, it's got a layer of mulch on top. Well, that is such a sticky plant. I don't want to get poked right now. And it is a heavy feeder, so I do have to come out here and give her bougainvillea food every month to keep these beautiful pink flowers. But I don't mind because she's so pretty. I have 3 of those along here. So there's another trailing lantana and a bougainvillea that's not putting out the pink flowers like she should. So I did feed everybody on Sunday. I have a new lantana that's struggling, and I have some older lantanas out here. And then look at this beauty. This bougainvillea is just as happy as she can be. Love that. Okay, so let's go into the backyard now. So when we enter the backyard, on the far right, you are met with a glorious stand of sunflowers. Aren't these beautiful? I planted these last year and they did okay, but this year they are, oh, this one up here is 10 feet tall. Isn't that gorgeous? And they are so fun to come out and take clippings and fill vases and give to friends. And then over here is my little nod to the desert I have a prickly pear and a soft leaf yucca and some autumn sage or salvia greggii. This is brand new, so she's not looking her best yet. And let's see, this is a really pretty plant. This is thryallis. And thryallis is just a nice big green shrub. And right next to that, I have some salvia dulberg, and I have another thryallis. So there's yellow, purple, and yellow in this flower bed. And the thryallis puts out these beautiful little yellow flowers, which the bees love. And then, of course, the salvia Henry Dulberg puts out the purple flower. And I have another one down there that we'll go look at. And while we're here, let's look at the daylilies. So right now, all of the daylilies have paused. And I've clipped out all of the dead stems that held the flowers. And now we just wait. And in another month, they'll put on another flush of flowers. So, but they're very pretty. I like the strappy leaves, how they look right now. And in here, I also have skullcap, which is a really nice low plant. This only gets about 1 foot tall, and it has sweet little pink flowers in here. So skullcap is a great drought tolerant plant. I have it all over the place. It's easy to propagate into a new part of the yard. And it just looks great, I think, as a filler for the areas around the iris. This is just some strappy leaves left over from the spring iris. And here we have the strappy leaves left over from the daylilies. And they will bloom again. Okay, and then if we come over here, I have Russian sage. I highly recommend everybody get a Russian sage if you're trying to grow a nice big shrub. So this gets about 5 feet wide and 3 feet tall. But look how pretty. It's got a silvery gray leaf, and it is a native. It can take the heat and it can take the drought. But I just love the purple flowers on it. Just gorgeous. And then right next to it, we have another thryallis with the yellow flowers. And now let's go look at the pollinator garden. This is Greg's purple mist flower. And I wanted to see if I can capture some of the butterflies. So right now, there are just queens in here. Oh, can't seem to get them. There's one. There's quite a few in here. This is one of my favorite gardens. If you plant this Greg's Mist, it will creep along. You have to give it plenty of space to spread, but then the butterflies will come. I also have, at the back of the garden, I have a butterfly bush, which they love. I have this Gara, which is really popular. I have a Turks cap in the back, which they love. So I sit back here and have my coffee and love watching the butterflies. The nectar on these purple flowers is just what they are attracted to. They can sit on here all morning and enjoy this. So these are the queens, and in October we have the monarchs coming back. The monarchs were here in March, and then they've gone on to Mexico, and then they come back in October. Another beauty out here in the pollinator garden is my pride of Barbados. So it is one of the last perennials to show up here in the Central Texas gardens. And very soon this will be covered with beautiful orange, gorgeous, showy flowers, and I will make sure to video that when they appear. And along the back of the house, I have a small little rose garden. I have 3 knockout roses, a pink and 2 reds, and I have a Belinda's Dream, which is more of a floribunda rose. This one has the most beautiful scent. Oh, it's just heavenly. And the knockout roses do not have any scent. So let's get a little closer. And earlier in another video, I talked about how I had neglected to fertilize my roses in May, and I didn't have a rose at all. I had some in April and then nothing in May. So I fertilized with my Rose Tone by Espoma, and now it is just glorious again, covered with roses. So that's my little tip to you. Make sure that you fertilize once a month. I fertilize at the first of the month. That way I know that it's time to do it. And you're going to have continuous roses that way. This is something that you can fertilize when it's really, the temperatures are high, because your roses are going to want to put out some beautiful roses all summer long. Now, if I get a little closer to this beautiful Belinda's Dream, look at those beauties. It is so gorgeous. I just love these. And they're very different than the knockout roses. The knockouts are a little wilder and smaller. But anyway, they all serve a purpose in the garden. Here's some more of the May Night. And there's another one back there. This is some salvia Dahlberg I've transplanted, hoping it would grow. And it is doing wonderfully. And then this is mealy blue sage. I have a couple of those, one here and one here, and they have not started. Oh wait, look, there's a bloom, and they're going to probably be like a bluish purple. And I don't want this to grow, tall. I want it to grow out. So I keep on kind of pinching it back, trying to get it to spread out more and not grow tall. So that's a little tip. If you can form your plants the way you want them to look. Here I have a brand new lantana that's trying to make it. It's struggling a little bit, but lantanas are tough. And then back here I have my wonderful boxwood. They will get, another foot taller. And then in front of that we have the drift roses, and they put out a really pretty pink flower, and they stay low. So my intent was a low little bank of roses, and then behind them the higher boxwood. And in front of them, something even lower, is the purple trailing lantana. But they are not putting out any blooms yet, so that'll come. And another May Night. And I have some more daisies. This is not Shasta daisy. This is a different kind of daisy, but it's just about to bloom. Those little buds. So as we go down the path in the backyard, we see 2 Duranta, and I'm going to put a picture up on the screen to show you. But these are kind of late to be beautiful in the summer, but in another month, they will be 6 feet tall and covered with these gorgeous purple flowers. Look at these beauties. And this is one of my favorite things I've planted here. Coming further down, I have plumeria in pots. I have to take the plumeria in during the winter time because they are not cold hardy, but they're so pretty. And this one is in bloom. Look at these beautiful flowers. And they smell like Hawaii. So I would highly recommend getting yourself a plumeria. And they're easy to grow. You just, put them in a pot and they're just really give you a little tropical feel. And these pansies are still looking good. They haven't succumbed to the heat. They are in the shade. And then over here we have lamb's ear. And I just absolutely love lamb's ear. And I keep taking sections of the lamb's ear from the back and moving this to other locations in my garden. So this is really easy to propagate. And then legularia or leopard plant. Something is chomping away. I'm pretty sure that it's snails or slugs. So I treated this the other day, hoping that these leaves will have a chance to actually grow big without the holes in them. So Turk's cap is in the back of this garden, and it is wonderful. It's easy to grow. I do have it in the shade here, and it's doing just fine. This one has kind of a peachy colored flower that looks like a Turk's cap, hence the name. Whoops, not getting a good shot of that. And then this one here is a little bit more of an orange, but Turk's cap is a really great summer perennial, comes back every year on its own. All of these things come back every year. I put them in once and keep them watered and forget about it. As we continue on down, let's look over here to the left. I have yarrow, and I have struggled with this yarrow, but it is finally looking good, and it does not want too much water. It wants just enough water. It wants really good drainage, but yarrow puts out the most beautiful yellow little bundles of flowers, and I love that silvery green texture. It's really soft, silvery gray. And I keep a lot of pots of airplane plant around just because they're so easy. They don't take much care. So put your airplane plants in pots in the shade, and they will love to be outside during the summer. There's some more yarrow, and there's a lot more Turk's cap filling up a section of a garden. I have a potato vine growing here. I can't wait for this potato vine to just really fill up this pot and hang over the sides, look fabulous. So as we keep going down, I have another potted airplane plant and another one over here. They're just nice fillers. On the left, we have just kind of a playground for dogs and kids. And on the right, I have a wild abelia. There's actually 3 abelias in here that are just loving that I don't trim these. I just am letting them go wild and rangy, and that's okay with me because they have plenty of room back here. I definitely keep a big bird bath full of fresh water for the birds. I have 2 of them out here, and the birds really, really appreciate it when the temperatures get so high. My oak leaf hydrangea is looking just great. Now, instead of the big florets being white, they're kind of drying out, and this is their summer look, more of a brown color, but they're still beautiful. Just love it. I definitely am going to add another one of these to my garden. And then as we go back over to the left, I have my raised bed. I have a lot of things that were growing in milk jugs that I have transferred out here. and they're just going to fill my pretty raised bed with all kinds of perennial plants. And as they get bigger, I might transplant some of them out to other parts of the garden. And then this section is zennias. And as we get a little closer, some of them are finally starting to bloom. This one looks like a cactus variety. And then this is just the plain old beautiful California Bennery variety. And shortly, this whole section will just be full of color. And the more you trim, the more you take these zinnias and cut them, the more flowers that each plant will produce. So I need to get in here and trim these, take some of these inside, and it'll just make them be wider and thicker and have more flowers on them. Right now they're all kind of tall and skinny. And back behind here, my red tip photinia are doing great. They're a screen to hide what's going on behind the fence. They are building a bunch of new houses back there. So we learned about that, and immediately we put these red tip photinia in, and they've been a nice screen. So all along this pathway, I transplanted my Berkeley sedge. This was in a different garden, and I decided it was getting pretty aggressive and I needed to put it somewhere else. So I've moved it out here, and it can spread all it wants into this wild. But while we're back here, I really want to talk to you about my beautiful American beautyberry. Look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? Now, the American beautyberry likes to be in the shade, and they get about 4 feet tall and 6 feet wide. They do need space, and they are soon to have, look at all the bees around on them. They are soon to be covered with beautiful purple berries. And I'll put on the screen a picture of those berries. But, oh, it's just so pretty when the berries come. But the plant is just gorgeous too, without the berries. It doesn't really have much of a showy flower. If I get a little close, you can see it does put out a tiny little pink flower, but it's not very showy. But the berries are the big show for this plant. So I have a little section between my pathway and the little riverbed that just needed something tucked in there, and I put this purslane in. This is a succulent, and it is very drought tolerant. It can take full sun, but it is an annual. I do have to put it, replace it every year. And in a little while, those little flowerets are closed right now, but they will open up, and I'll show you a picture of what they look like in a bit. But they are just a really sweet little succulent that you can tuck in anywhere that it's tough to grow something else. And this is a shot of the purslane a little bit later in the morning when all of the blooms are open. Isn't that beautiful? So another tip for having these wonderful gardens is drip irrigation. And so I have, in another video that I will link below, talked about how you can add your own drip irrigation. You do not have to use a professional. All you need is a faucet. The house faucet here is, now my husband added some PVC so he could put another faucet further out. But you just add your drip hose, and I have it all going in every single garden in my backyard. This one I have not covered up with mulch, and I am going to do that today, because if I leave it like this, then every time I water, most of that water will be evaporated in a few hours. But if I cover it with 3 inches of mulch, then I don't have to come back here and water again for like a week. So this is halfway completed. I now have to add the mulch, and my water savings will be improved greatly. So I hope you enjoyed that tour of my garden. These Texas natives are loving this incredible heat. They don't mind it. They do need some water though, and so that drip irrigation is really helping keep that water under the mulch and not spraying out into the atmosphere. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody. I really appreciate it. I love your comments. I read every single one. And I hope you get a chance to get in your garden today. Wear a sun hat, wear some sunscreen. It's getting hot out here, but early in the morning, it's just the perfect time to do gardening. I am retired now, so I get to do that every morning, but I know that's not always easy for everyone. So maybe gardening in the evening, but just get out here and do some gardening. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.